Hey all, and welcome to my video on installing the Joomla content management system. This class is being recorded for the Rapid Online Presence class at the Rochester Institute of Technology for spring 2016. I'm going to post this publicly on YouTube, and it's going to be captioned, so if you're not in our class and you're stumbling upon this, it still might have some useful information, but the stuff where we upload it to a server is going to mainly apply to the server here at the College of Imaging Arts and Sciences server. So today we're going to install the Joomla content management system. So to get started, we're first going to learn about a couple CMS systems, mainly the popular ones. After that, we're going to download Joomla. Then we're going to install Joomla on the RIT web server. So we're going to install it on the College of Imaging Arts and Sciences web server. The server supports database. It supports a MySQL database, whereas people.rit.edu does not have a database built in. After that, we're just going to explore the features of Joomla a bit and probably edit an article. So you may be wondering a bit by now, if I haven't already covered this, what exactly is a CMS? So Wikipedia defines a web content management system as a software system that provides website authoring, collaboration, and administration tools designed to allow users with little knowledge of web programming or web programming languages or markup languages to create and manage website content with relative ease. So you probably noticed that line where it says allows users with limited knowledge of web programming. So in our class, we've already covered a lot of web programming. We've covered PHP, we've covered markup language. So because we know this, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. Since we have a little knowledge already of programming languages, we'll be able to modify Joomla. We'll be able to create extensions, we'll be able to edit the templates, and also create modules to make things look exactly the way we want them to. Before we get started, I just wanted to review some of the popular content management systems we have to choose from. I'm just going to cover ones that work in PHP. So one of the oldest ones and most popular CMSs out there is called WordPress. So this was first released on May 27th, 2003. So it's one of the most popular, powering over 60 million websites, or 23.3% of the 10 million top websites in the world as of early 2015. So if you need a website up and running pretty quickly, and especially if you need a blog website, if you want to get a free theme or if you want to get a really nice theme for a few bucks, WordPress is probably a pretty good choice. However, since it was originally written to be more of a blog platform, I personally prefer other CMS systems. The next on our list here is Joomla, which a lot of people say is the second most popular. I suppose that's a bit debatable, as Drupal is pretty popular now. So this first came about in 2005, so it's estimated to be the second only to WordPress in popularity as of 2015. It is built on a Model View Controller Framework, or MVC. It uses object-oriented programming and has a pretty organized structure. So Joomla is a little better if you want a slightly more scalable site and if you want it to be a little more stable and structured, in my opinion. Drupal is also a pretty robust content management system. In my opinion, for a beginner, it's a little difficult to learn. There's a whole different kind of system of creating plugins for it. So I'd recommend you check it out at some point. Finally, we have Silverstripe. I don't know too much about this one. It's a little newer, so it looks like it could have some potential, but I'm not going to cover it much since I don't really know too much about it. So I'm going to cover the Joomla CMS, partly because I'm an expert at it, but also because I think it's fairly simple to install, and there's a ton of cool third-party extensions. So for the next part of this lecture or class, we're going to kind of have a video demo of my screen. I'll overlay the process of installing Joomla. Alright, so I opened up Google Chrome here, and I navigated to joomla.org. This is the main website for Joomla. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go over here and click download. Once we get to the download page, we're going to want to choose a package. Since we're not upgrading, we're just going to want to get the full package here. The latest version as of this recording is 3.5.1. It's about 11.3 megabytes, so it's a good size file. So once we download that, we're going to want to extract it to a folder and prepare it to upload. So I'm using Windows, so it's going to use WinRAR. I'm just going to create a new folder here on my desktop. Let's call it Joomla. And we'll extract files into here. This will take a couple of minutes. So in the meantime, we can visit the CIAS website to get our login information. So now that I'm in my web browser again, I probably want to open a new tab, and this is where I can go to request3.cias.rit.edu. We should have already done this in an earlier class. It will probably prompt you to log in. You'll just use your RIT username and password. This is kind of the dashboard of their web structure. Next we'll want to go to Personal Web. And you'll notice here there's a whole bunch of rows and columns, so this will give you all the information you need to sign in via FileZilla or Fetch, including your host, your username, your password. We'll also give you your MySQL database and password. Don't worry, I'm going to change this before I upload the video. So for the next part of our demo, we're going to upload our files to the CIAS web server. So we're going to open up FileZilla or Fetch. In this case, I'm going to use FileZilla. So I'm going to go to File, Site Manager, and I'm going to want to create a new profile for this site. I'll call it CIAS JXT-ADM new. Now we have to enter a host name in here. In order to get the host name, I'm going to reference my request page over at CIAS. So we have our host, copy that, paste that in. I'm going to select SFTP. For my username, I'm just going to use my RIT username. I want to select ask for password, user, JXT-ADM. I selected SFTP. So I think I'm set here. Let's try connecting. Takes a little longer than our other server to connect. So now that we're in here, we want to go to the public HTML folder, and we'll want to create a new directory for Joomla. In this case, I'm just going to call it Joomla. You might want to call it something else and related to your project. So hit enter, open up Joomla, and now I'll want to upload the contents of that zip file to here. So I'm just going to open this up here and drag it from my desktop folder onto the server here. So this is going to take a little while because it's a pretty large file, 30 megs, so I'm going to stop the recording for now and I'll come back when it's done. So I'm back. It took about 10 minutes to upload this, and you'll notice we have a Joomla folder here. If we go inside it, we should see all of the Joomla core files. So you can tell it's running kind of slow tonight. So it might take you about 10 minutes to upload it. So I have a lot of files here. So next I'm going to open up my web browser and I want to navigate to this website. Okay, so I fired up Google Chrome again, and I'm going to want to navigate to that website in the web browser. So to do this, I'm going to type in cias.rit.edu, but I actually need to put in my username first because it's a subdomain here. So I'm going to do JXT-ADM. Let's hit enter. This brings us to the root of the page. But as you probably recall, I created this in the Joomla folder, so I'm going to want to navigate to there first. So let's do /Joomla, and let's see if this works. Okay, so you should be presented now with the Joomla installation folder. It's hopefully pretty straightforward from here, assuming everything works. So I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it JP's test website. You don't need a description. You're going to want to put in an administrator email. This is important so you can get any system emails. Let's put in a username. And we'll want to enter in some sort of password here. Site offline, nope. So now we can hit the next. Let's try the password one more time here. There it goes. So here's the part that's kind of new. We're going to need to enter database information. So in order to fill out this information, we're going to again want to reference that page that had the CIAS server information. It was request 3. I signed out, so I need to sign back in here. And once again, we're going to go to personal web. And if you notice down here, it's going to have database information. And this kind of corresponds to what we see here. So host name is going to be this. Copy and paste this in here. Oftentimes it's going to be localhost, but in this case it's this. The username, actually the database name, I apologize, is named after your username. And as you can see here, your MySQL username is also named after your RIT name. So let's paste that in here. And your password here, which I remind you I'm going to change, so please don't try to hack in here, is displayed on this page here. To reset your password later on, you can just click this. And table prefix is just going to be what it names the MySQL tables. I would just leave it to what it defaults as. It puts in a random little code here. And that's about it. If we have an old database here, if we're copying over an old one, we might want to look into this, but for now you shouldn't need it. And let's hit next and hope it works. It's going to take a couple minutes because actually pretty quick. It needs to create a lot of database tables. Next is the install sample data. If you're experienced with Joomla and you're pretty good at it, you might want to choose none. I normally choose blog or brochure. I actually haven't seen a lot of these, so I don't know what these are yet. Let's give brochure a try and see. When we scroll down a bit too, we also start seeing the database settings, and this will warn us if we have anything wrong. Database configuration looks okay. We're doing the pre-installation check. Everything looks okay here. Fortunately, the server is configured pretty well, so we don't really have any issues. We don't have to worry about the permissions like we had to on people.rit.edu, which I'm sure is a pretty welcome change. We have a couple warnings here. So it's displaying errors. It recommends it off because on a production website you don't necessarily want errors going out to the public. But in our case, it's fine to be on. Output buffering is another thing you can sometimes set to off. I wouldn't worry too much about this. A lot of these settings can be set in your php.ini file. This was the file we edited earlier in the semester to allow URL fopen and I think to display errors. So everything looks okay. I don't think you really had to do much here except choose a mode. And now we're going to hit install. Hope everything goes okay here. They've added a nice little scrolling bar here. So congratulations, Joomla is now installed. So the only thing you have to do once you install it is remove the installation folder. Back in the day, you actually used to have to go back into FileZilla or Fetch and manually install it. But it looks like now they've added a way to just do it here. Let's see if this works. Installation folder successfully moved. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. And now we should be about ready, so we're going to be presented with two links. There's the site and the administrator. So Joomla actually has two sections. There's the administrator section, sometimes called the back end, and there's the site. So I'm going to click the site and let's check out what we have here. So it starts off with a pretty basic website. We chose a brochure, so it looks kind of like a contact us portfolio type site. It's not quite like a blog here. So there's 4 pages by default. We have an about us, we have a news with 1 article, and we have a contact us. So the brochure might be a nice setting for you to take. It's a simple site. The blog default settings are nice, but it adds so much content it's a little overwhelming. And we'll notice here that we have a login form. This will sign us into the front end of Joomla. So I'm going to use the username that I set up. I'm going to enter in my password. One thing to note real quick too is we don't have HTTPS set up here in the URL, so it's not secured with SSL. So when we're sending passwords over here, it's not super secure, so I wouldn't use your main RIT password when you're setting up a Joomla password. Just use something different. Later on, maybe we can get it set up so it's a secure site. I believe it supports it. We just need to change the settings to allow it. Alright, so now we are logged into the front end of Joomla. So it should look pretty much the same. The only thing you'll notice is when I'm hovering over here, I have this little edit icon that appears. So this is kind of what we talked about, a CMS being you can edit content. You don't really have to know PHP or anything to change an article. So for example, I want to change this site on the home page. All I would have to do is choose edit. So this brings up the what you see is what you get editor with CWig. I think I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. And you'll notice I have a title, and here's the editor itself. So this is a little nicer than the Wik page interface that you were probably used to in the past. It allows us to edit things in this rich text editor, almost like a Microsoft Word. Hello world. And you'll notice when we scroll over things, we'll able to use bold, italics, all sorts of things. And what's also is pretty helpful if you're an advanced user, which I think we are in our class, since we already know a lot about markup language and stuff. We can do edit. I'm sorry, where is it? There is tools. Here it is, source code. So this actually shows the raw source code that you're inputting here. So what you might even want to do is edit your code in Dreamweaver or another text editor. Then you can just go and paste it here. If you want to have really clean source code, it's probably best to do it this way. But if you just need to make a quick edit, this is fine to use. So I added my hello world. Looks like you can add modules now. They've added a lot of new features since I've last used it. So this is all set, and now I'm just looking for the save button, which is moved up here. So it looks like we also have some revision history in here too. We'll notice the hello world came up here. Let's go to edit. We also have a revision history. There's only one at the moment. If I were to create another version, we could revert. That's a nice new feature. We have a couple other tabs in the edit dialog. We can edit the publishing settings. In this case, we can tell when we want to start publishing or finishing publishing. Access is who has access to it, so it's public, anybody can view. Guest would be only people not signed in could view. Registered is people who have registered for your account. Special is basically administrator users or super administrators, and then super users, which the account you created is a super user. status, is where you can mark it as being published or unpublished, archived or trashed. The article alias, I'll maybe mention a bit later. You generally want to call it something like your title. Tags, and of course categories. We only have one category at the moment, so we can add and remove categories in the administrator section, which I'll show in a few. Language, we don't really have to worry too much about at the moment. And metadata, so this is the metadata that sometimes Google or other engines will look for when indexing your site. So I think this front-end demo is good for now. Some other features we have here are when you are signed in, you can edit your profile. These are all out-of-the-box settings. I can add additional fields. Perhaps I'd want to add a field like hometown. We also have options to create an article and an option to go to the administrator. And the thing you'll see when I bring up the administrator is all of these items can be customized. So for the project, if you choose to do a Joomla site, I'll expect to see some advanced kind of configuration for these things. I don't want to just see a straight out of the box site here. So we're at about 20 minutes now. Went a little longer than I expected, so I'm going to leave it off here, and next lecture I'll go over the administrator section. In the meantime, I'd like you guys to try installing this on the CIAS web server. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Hopefully I don't have to say that anymore this entire lecture. There's also on my courses, there's a small quiz. It's not very hard at all. Just want to make sure you guys are paying attention. And stay tuned for the next lecture. I think next class we'll cover the administrator section. We'll maybe look at some custom components, and we'll maybe install a custom component, and maybe have a little discussion about options out there. Alright, I'll see you guys later.